And in our society today, you do get credit. I will say this. You do get credit for seeing something first. I saw this cool band. I saw Nirvana like 5 years before that. It is kind of cool. You get credit for that. Or, dude, I found a restaurant. You've got to take your wife to this. 10 years later, you'll be like, remember when those guys introduced us to this restaurant? You do get credit for seeing things first. It's kind of fun to find the new restaurant or hear the new band. But you get far more points, in my opinion. You get far more points deducted if you think you see or find something first. You're wrong and are stubborn and won't admit it. I admit I had questions about Lamar Jackson. He was kind of skinny. He ran a little too much. He got hit really hard. He had a weird throwing motion. And the first year in the league, wasn't terribly accurate. But then there's this thing called games on television, and you watch. If you still don't get Lamar Jackson, you're just not paying attention now. You're trying to be right and not get it right. Folks, through the first 5 games, his stats are better today than they were in his MVP year. Congratulations for those who spotted it earlier. I didn't. I had my doubts. I didn't. But by the way, I didn't think Josh Allen. I thought he had a huge bust potential. He was wild. He couldn't throw completions from 8 yards out. I was wrong on Josh Allen. I said he had huge bust potential. Lamar Jackson, I didn't really get it. And we have this society of men now that they cannot move off wrong. They somehow view it as a weakness. It's not a weakness. Being dumb's a weakness. Being wrong's not. Lamar Jackson's really good. He not only can get you to a Super Bowl, hell, maybe he should be a favorite. I'm watching him last night. He also buried another falsehood, which, by the way, I for a long first 2 years, I'm like, he's not as good playing from behind. Well, that's done. 3 of his last 7 wins are coming from behind. So the best word I would use to describe Lamar Jackson is electric. And just think of your quarterback wherever they are. Describe your quarterback in one word. I got to tell you, electric is a really good word. Steady, efficient. And you know, winning Super Bowls with that. It's different. I say that my wife and I, when we used to live in Connecticut, we would love lightning storms. We would go out, pour a glass of wine, and you get a lot of them in the summer because you get the hot air and the cool air of the mountains, and you get these lightning storms. We sit out there for hours, and it's unpredictable, and it moves so fast, and you don't know how it's going to end. But we would just be in amazement. Sometimes watching Lamar Jackson, I feel like I'm watching a lightning storm. I'm not really sure how it's going to end. It's just improvising and zigzagging and going everywhere. But it is absolutely electric. I cannot take my eyes off him. And John Harbaugh, afterwards, by the way, he completed 83% of his throws last night. It was like an NFL record. John Harbaugh, who saw it earlier than I did, had an opinion. One of the only things, and Joy is my witness, I did identify very early with Lamar Jackson. This one I identified. He cares so much. He wants it so badly. Folks, I can't take indifference. Does Ben Simmons want to be great or not? In my career in broadcasting, the people over 30 years that have always succeeded, Joy is one of them. They want it so much. They love what they do. They love coming to work. They love doing. Lamar was skinny. Then he came back from an off season and he wasn't skinny. And his passing wasn't great. And then he came back, it was better, and he came back now and it's way better. And what's interesting is he's missing an all-pro left tackle. His first-round wide receiver is not there. I mean, good God, they had a cluster injury at running back. He's using guys off the street at running back. I don't think we've hit on his potential. And John Harbaugh talked on it. It was kind of an ugly first half. It took him a while to get going. But, man, it was a lightning storm in the second half. You're never sure quite where it's going to end or how it's going to go. I cannot take my eyes off him. Calais Campbell, another good player for the Ravens, called out the Lamar doubters. 37 of 43, 442 yards, 10.3 average yards, and a quarterback rating of 140. By the way, Carson Wentz didn't play bad. I mean, give you an example. Carson Wentz wasn't terrible. Carson Wentz was pretty good. and was completely overshadowed. And almost every night, the story would be, oh, Carson Wentz led the Colts. They led late. Carson Wentz, hey, he's not a problem. He was completely forgettable. That's what Lightning does. Everything else around it's forgettable. But it's interesting. This morning, you can argue that all 8 divisions are led by the best quarterback or the quarterback playing the best. So Josh Allen leads the AFC East. Lamar Jackson, after last night, leads the AFC North. Ryan Tannehill easily right now playing the best in the AFC South. Now, Justin Herbert, we'll get back to that in a second, leads the AFC West. Dak leads the NFC East. Aaron Rodgers leads the NFC North. Tom Brady leads the NFC South. And right now, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson's out. Stafford hasn't played as well as Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray leads. So you could say the AFC West. What about Mahomes and Herbert? Well, if you just stack up the numbers, remember, Herbert is bigger and stronger, and he's athletic too. So I don't see the gap that everybody else does, but I think at this point, saying Mahomes is better than Herbert is fair. I think Patrick Mahomes today is better than Justin Herbert. I just don't see this gap that everybody else does. But when you look at their numbers, Mahomes and Justin Herbert, and we consider Mahomes to have the better overall roster, folks, it's close. Slight edge Mahomes on completion. Mahomes, though, has twice as many interceptions. Herbert averaging more passing yards a game. Passer rating, slight edge Mahomes. So, and I think Mahomes is better now, but the gap is very small. So as the league has shifted to a league that benefits one or two key offensive positions, it is easier to make predictions on. By the way, Carson Wentz is not playing poorly, but Tannehill right now is playing the most consistently good football in the AFC South. So it really comes down to that. That is why, when we talk about Russell Wilson could be on the market, or what is a Deshaun Watson worth or a Russell Wilson worth, Nick Wright once threw it out there. He said, just give up your first-round pick until that player's out of the league. Yeah, you got to play for 7 more years. Russell Wilson's not worth 7 first-round picks? You sure? You seen Pete Carroll, NFL career without Russell Wilson? Fired, losing record. Like, again, you can have a lot of second, third, fourth, and fifth-round picks. 30% of first-round picks are busts anyway. So when people start making these moves on first-round quarterbacks, I'm going to give up 4 first-rounders. All right. If he's established, like a Deshaun or a Russell Wilson, I'll give up 4 or 5 first-round. What do I care? The league now is telling you they're worth. And the other thing is, if you don't have the quarterback right, then you fire your coach, and you got new coordinators. It creates franchise dysfunction and chaos, which is the worst in the league. So, best quarterbacks leading every division right now, except the AFC West, and that's a close one.